everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ben Talks About. I am, of course, your host, Ben Contreras. Now, with the release of the Nintendo Switch last year, many gamers have already forgiven the likes of Nintendo for the release of the Wii U, as the Switch is essentially what everyone thought the Wii U was going to be, and frankly should have been. However, while the Wii U was left to stay in the dust until the Switch came out, the one particular system that Nintendo had at the time that gamers can still say was pretty good, despite having a rather rocky launch, is the Nintendo 3DS. Now, like I said, despite the system having a rather rocky start, eventually the system, especially as the years came down and the systems are no longer as expensive as they used to be, many people can probably agree that this is by far one of the best handheld systems that Nintendo has ever provided us. Now, I wouldn't own my own version of the 3DS until after I graduated high school. However, now that I have one, and I've slowly been getting more of a library of games for it, I can most definitely say that this is by far one of the best deals anyone can possibly have when it comes to gaming. So, let's go right ahead and talk about it. Now, the 3DS that I own myself isn't actually a 3DS. This is what is called a 2DS, which was released 2 years after the original version of the system was given to the public. And while many people joked at the overall concept of this system, was essentially made as a cheaper version of the 3DS, as you could get it for around $60 to $80. And for that kind of deal, that really isn't all that bad. However, to signify the cheaper price tag, Nintendo had to, of course, remove several of the main features. From a design standpoint, it's pretty obvious that the original clamshell design of all the other previous DS-related systems has been removed from this version. And when I refer to a clamshell design, that's basically a concept that is used because the DS, at just about every single version of it, it opens up, giving us the two screens like a clamshell. However, with this, it is essentially how the older Nintendo systems, from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance, were like, where it is just one completely solid object with no movable parts. And while that was more or less a sort of joke with the system when it was first announced, it really isn't that big of an issue. After all, screen protectors aren't really that expensive, and as long as you take good care of your screen, it's not going to end up as, like, overly scratched up like, people thought it would be, as long as you actually take care of your system. And another main thing that the 2DS does not have over the 3DS was the 3D feature, which was originally supposed to be the 3DS's main selling point, but instead became one of the biggest jokes of the system, which is why, of course, they removed it from this system. And that is also not that big of a deal. After all, nobody really used the 3D feature at all because of how bad it was, and as a result of that, not many games really supported the 3D feature at all. So, overall, in terms of, how it is compared to the other DS systems, it really isn't all that bad. Especially when you actually get your hands on it and you hold it for yourself. It really isn't that big of an issue, compared to, like, with all the other DS systems. Your thumb and your index fingers are still relatively close together like they used to be, and because of the extra room for the system to be in your palm and the more curvy design compared to the more sharper edges on the other DS systems, it can actually feel a bit more comfortable compared to the other ones. Which is probably why, the Wii U also had that sort of curved design, as well as the Nintendo Switch. So, you're able to play a majority of your games without really getting that much of a hand cramped, even though that's pretty much guaranteed whenever someone plays a video game for a long period of time, but that's a subject for a different video. So, but speaking of the overall library of games for the system, not only are you able to play all of the, the games that you may already own, but you also get access to the entire library of the original DS, which is probably has one of the best game libraries, for its time. So, being able to play all of those in one system, including the virtual console that comes with the system, allowing you to get, retro games for like the Game Boy, NES, and all that stuff. The amount of games you can play on this system is really huge. Now, in terms of the games that I actually have, as you can no doubt tell, my game library is rather small. But I'm slowly getting more and more. And there are actually many different color variants on the 3DS and the 2DS, and it pretty much signifies which games come pre-installed in the system. As you can see from the Fire Flower inspired color design, this game came pre-installed with the New Super Mario Bros. 2, which, for a Mario game, it really isn't all that bad as many people make it out to be. The main joke that people usually have with the game itself is the amount of coins that it gives. And but really especially for like a beginner's Mario game, it really isn't all that bad. It's essentially the new Super Mario Brothers games that we already have for, the 3DS, and, or like I said, for a beginner, it really isn't all that bad. I mean, I was able to get close to beating the game, and that's coming from a person who openly admits that he sucks at Mario. But, yeah, as you can no doubt tell, like I said, my game library is rather small, and a majority of games that I do own do acquire some specific tastes, as you can no doubt tell, because a majority of them are RPGs. But if I did have to recommend a game out of all of these, I pretty much think that any sort of gamer, regardless of taste, can get into, it is this one right here, Animal Crossing New Leaf, which was actually one of the earlier games that was released on the 3DS. And many people consider this one to be one of the best titles, if not the best title, in the Animal Crossing series. And while I can't necessarily agree, because this is the only one I've really played, I can definitely say that this is by far one of the games I spent the most time on. It's a type of game that, if you're waiting for something, or you're just sort of bored and you want to relax, playing this game for a little while can be really fun, as long as you don't take it too seriously. Because, if you try to play a game a specific way, it can be like in a completely different type of experience. But yeah, in terms of the other games, I definitely want to give them their own talk about videos, because there's a lot to say about each of these titles that can pretty much be made up into their own videos, as well as the fact that I also need to beat just about every single one of them before I actually want to make videos on them. But yeah, but like I said, the library of games on the system is huge, and the fact that you're able to play all of the Game Boy and NES games on the Virtual Console and the original DS library, and all of that for $60 to $80. Investing in a 3DS or a 2DS, especially now, is by far one of the best possible deals that anyone can have who hasn't already had this system, because it's been like several years now since this thing has been released, so I would be surprised if a Nintendo fan didn't own one of these already. But yeah, if you don't, then I would most definitely recommend it. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say for this Talk About video. I hope you all enjoyed. This was a video that I've actually been wanting to make for quite a while now, ever since I actually got my 2DS, but I definitely wanted to have a bit more of a larger library of games before I made a full video on it. But yeah, again, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all enjoyed this little return to my Ben Talk About videos. And until I see you all next time, I'm of course Ben Contreras, and bye.